going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Expected Bets for your go-to podcast for all things hockey betting. Today, I'm joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Gretzky Betskis and Franco the Banker. Guys, we've wrapped up the Atlantic, the Metro.
Yeah.
We're on to the Central. We're halfway there.
Yeah, this is an interesting division. This is the division of haves and have-nots to me, more so than we see in the East. I guess it mirrors the Metro a little bit, where it's a little top-heavy.
More than the Atlantic.
No, the Atlantic has a lot of mushy middle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Metro emulates the Central more than the Atlantic.
Oh, yeah, than the Atlantic. Yes, I would agree. I would agree. But yeah, it's this should be an interesting division to talk about. I think it's going to look really different in a couple of years, but this is not that year yet.
Yeah, Franco, how we doing?
I'm doing good. I just decided I was thinking about getting tickets to the Capitals and Flyers game, which is one of the first games of the season in Philly. So I think that's going to be what I'm going to have to do because I've never seen Ovi live. So
nice.
After talking about it in the previous breakdown, I'm like, I got to do that because I haven't done it yet. And locking these tickets.
I got a story.
All right, let's hear it.
Go ahead, man.
I saw Ovi in Zona the year of the Olympics and Sochi, right? Sochi Olympics in Russia, coastal Russian town, and I don't even think it snows there, but I got pretty bet skied over there and got a chant going that was no Sochi for Ovi. Game went to overtime, game went to shootout, and I got like our section chanting it while he was up for the shootout, and he missed, slammed his stick so hard, and I was just going absolutely buck wild and completely fell into the people in front of me. So sorry if a bulky person smashed into you back in 2012 was that Olympics?
Yeah, one unique listener out there will be like, that son of a bitch. I knew it was him. I knew it was him. Yeah.
There's no way they listen.
Who knows? Maybe we'll expand our demographic to Russia.
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, I am sorry.
Yes,
you made it to the Olympics despite what I was screaming at you all game.
Yeah. After all the Ovi talk we've had for the past 20 minutes, it feels like we are on to the Chicago Blackhawks. So let's
the next great goal scorer of the league, right? Outside of Matthews. Yeah.
I'm not high on him. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. No. Yeah. Yes, I would say he's probably the next emerging superstar in the NHL. All right, let's get into the Chicago Blackhawks team preview. Getting into the Chicago Blackhawks team preview here, we talked about the Capitals try to build around Ovi to get him over that hump, and it seems like the Blackhawks are trying to build around Bedard, and that's not a bad person to do so, right? They bring in TJ Brody and Pat Maroon, superstars that are really going to bolster this top line here.
Absolutely.
No, but Teravainen, I think, is a solid addition. Bertuzzi as
back
well.
To Chicago.
I like it as well. Mikheyev, Martinez, Craig Smith, Brossoit. Brossoit is likely going to miss the start of the season, though, due to a meniscus injury. So it's going to be Mrazek starting those first few games. But They did make a ton of additions, Betsky, in the offseason. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if you can call them additions. It's more like shuffling chairs. I mean, you lose Corey Perry, you put in Pat Maroon. Connor Murphy still. I'm trying to think of what defenseman they may have lost to shuffle in Alec Martinez or Brody. That was an aging guy back last year. Nobody really stands out here as a true addition outside of the two forwards in my mind, which are Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen. And that does make it a little interesting. Teravainen drafted by Chicago in 2012. Same year as Connor Murphy, who is still on that blue line years. He wasn't drafted by Chicago, but has been there for a while. And Teravainen's a nice little two-way playmaker who I think could be really, really dynamic with Bedard if Hall doesn't take that spot. And then you got kind of one of the few true power forwards in the league in Todd Bertuzzi, who didn't really produce the way I think a lot of Leafs fans wanted to see him do in Toronto. And I don't think he's quite ever played up to some of his best years in Detroit, but you never know. Maybe this is where he kind of refines his game, and, you know, playing with Bedard can't hurt if he does stick with Bedard. Otherwise, you got Hall there, who may be able to find some chemistry again with Bedard. He missed most of the season last year. So you kind of have three other wingers that can potentially be playing with Connor that kind of is exciting to see if he can build chemistry around and kind of help supplement and make him a productive center.
Yeah. How old is Teravainen?
Well, I think it was 2012. So that
okay.
would put him, it's probably like 32 or something. Let's see.
Yeah. Bertuzzi's
like
still relatively young too, right? I don't think Bertuzzi's 30 yet.
30 years. 30 years old. 2012 draft, 18th overall.
Right.
Connor Murphy. That was the year Coyotes went all the way to the conference finals and drafted Connor Murphy. I guess that would have been like 28th or 27th. So yeah, both same draft class. We beat Chicago round 1. I remember all this fondly, obviously.
Yeah.
One of my
had to rub that in for Blackhawks fans. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you kind of wish Bedard was surrounded by other exciting prospects, right? So they can develop that chemistry for years to come. But I think it is a good move to bring in kind of a little bit of a veteran presence to this roster to kind of settle it out. Last year, we talked about this team and we were like, holy shit, it is bad. And this year, you kind of look even at that first line of Bertuzzi, Bedard, and Teravainen of there are two wingers that can at least help him out offensively and kind of match his skill set, right? Because I think Taylor Hall was with him last year. Was Foligno up there as well?
Yes. I think it was Taylor Hall, Bedard, and Foligno.
Kurashev was up there for a little bit. Yeah, it was
at some points.
Yeah.
Reichel, their draft pick from 2020 hasn't really panned out as hoped. So like this is really a team that is starting from the 2022 draft forward with the rebuild where they drafted Korshinsky and then they moved up for, I forget, kind of a two-way centerman, maybe Ogren. I could be missing that, but really this is the team. This is a brand new team, 2022 moving forward. And really two of those players that they've drafted from this like true blow up rebuild are on the team. So lots of firepower coming. Not there yet, and kind of why it just feels like it's going to be more chairs shuffled around for a little bit.
Yeah, the one interesting piece, Franco, is the Michigan State prospect, Levshinov. Yeah, he could really be a great addition to their D unit here.
So I realized after looking at kind of our cheat sheets here, he must not be listed on Daily Faceoff. He has signed. He is not going back to Michigan State. So
really? I thought he was...
Yes, he will be on the roster. I do not actually think this is the best move for him. I don't think this is a team that's ready to have such a young defenseman in Korshinsky already eating top 4 minutes. And now you're going to add a rookie in Levshinov.
He could play in the A this year, though. He's 18. And
that's true.
They could send him down to the A for a year, get like a grasp on pro hockey, and then maybe move him in and out of the lineup. Because it's not like their D, right? Their 6D right now aren't great, but it is like a sustainable unit to move forward where they're not like desperate to move him into the lineup immediately. Because if they do rush him, we've seen some of these defensemen in the past, like Dahlin was super young and he was rushed right into this roster and struggled, right? So I think despite Chicago wanting to rebuild, they know it's going to be a long process to do so. And it's better to not ruin one of the number 2 draft pick this year.
But wouldn't you rather have your kid that you drafted 2nd overall be the guy at Michigan State and potentially go to the Frozen Four and stuff rather than whatever the Rockford Hogs are going to be doing or whatever their HL affiliate is?
But they can still move him up and down the lineup, though, and maybe get him
but do you care? He could be the guy. He could be like a Hobby Baker Award winner.
Michigan State's not that good.
No, I agree. But I mean, he could be a finalist.
By all means, right? Like
I would rather see that guy. I don't know. That's my own personal kind of developmental standpoint.
You wonder if the team had anything to say on it, though, right? Like he could have just I don't think
I
they
want to sign
did.
now. Yeah.
Right. Franco, looking at this team here, what are your opening thoughts on it? The addition or the departures, Colin Blackwell, Radish, Zaitsev, Tyler Johnson, just to name a few, but doesn't seem like they didn't have much to lose to begin with, you know?
No, these are all just pieces that like are borderline players for the most part. I mean, Radish is all right, I guess, but for the most part, you're talking about fringe type NHL guys. And Whistle Zaitsev had been kind of washed for a little bit at this point. He's going to the KHL, so yeah, I think this team was kind of just a really rough team to look at on paper last year, especially when they started having the injuries. So yeah, they add a bunch of pieces, fill out the roster, make it look a little bit more of like a competitive team at least. I still think seeing Athanasiou on that second line is not an ideal thing. But I mean, you can only add so many players, and you don't want to. You almost want to stay like on the outside
Flexible.
looking in for a little bit. You don't want to sign guys to long-term deals that are veterans just so you can have a veteran and block younger players from coming up. So I think they're kind of doing the right thing here. You put together a team that can play hockey. Hopefully, you add these pieces on Bedard's line that can grow his confidence, make him learn some stuff. These are two veterans that have been in the league for a while at this point. They know how to train, how to last through an 82 game season, all that stuff. That's all the type of stuff that Bedard needs to learn, right? Like, not that the injury he sustained last year was his fault or anything like that. It was complete freak injury, but it's just one of those things. 82 games is a long season, and no player coming into the league is ready for that until they start doing it. So I think that's the biggest thing. Get him more experience, get him the ability to play, and build around him some bigger guys. Like I think that was the other thing that this team was lacking last year, was a little bit of grit, a little bit of toughness. I know Bertuzzi's got a little bit of that. Yeah, I think that's kind of the model for this team. Finish towards the bottom again and get another top pick. Hopefully, it's another player you can add to this team in the future, and maybe in 2-3 years now you're looking at like a team that might be fringe wild card, and the younger players finally come up to the team and it looks actually kind of competent.
Yeah, I think the addition of Bertuzzi, they almost got like a 2-for-1 deal, right? Like, because he is skilled offensively, but he's also can play that enforcer role with Bedard, that if something does happen, at least they kind of have his bodyguard out there,
Yeah.
So, all right, before we get into the best and worst case scenario for the Chicago Blackhawks, I'd like to talk to you about our sponsor, BetterHelp. This episode of Expected Bets 4 is brought to you by BetterHelp. Have you ever stopped to think about something new you'd love to learn? As adults, we don't always make the time to learn we used to when we were kids. Kids are constantly exploring and growing, but somewhere along the way, life gets busy and we lose some of that curiosity. What's something you've been wanting to dive into? Maybe it's cooking, picking up a new language, or even figure out your golf game to finally beat your new friend. Just because we're older doesn't mean we have to stop growing. In fact, therapy can help you reconnect with that sense of wonder. It reminds you that your back-to-school moment can happen at any time. Therapy is not just for people who have gone through something major. It's for anyone looking to be the best version of themselves. Therapy can help you learn positive ways to cope with stress, set healthy boundaries, and tackle challenges with more confidence. It's really about giving yourself the tools to thrive and grow, no matter what stage of life you're in. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. Now back to the show. Getting into the best and worst case scenario for the Chicago Blackhawks, Betsky, you took the best case last time, so I'm going to throw it to Franco this time for the Chicago Blackhawks. Best case, it feels like this young core kind of continues to develop. They get some chemistry on that top line with Teravainen, Bertuzzi, and Bedard, and they just continue to kind of acquire draft picks, you could say, because the playoffs are out of the question, it feels like, for this team.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because I was looking ahead kind of to the points props and stuff like that for the season long, and Bedard's sitting at 82.5, right? So clearly the books are thinking he's going to be a point per game player, which is, I mean, that's a massive step from what he was last year, right? Like as much as his skill is awesome and all that stuff, like that's huge. So I would say that's kind of your best case scenario, that he is that type of almost point per game player. He stays healthy, no freak injuries. You have, like I said, that enforcer next to him is just perfect. Bertuzzi is that perfect piece to just, no BS. Anytime anybody's even getting messing around with him, he just steps in and gets in between and says, no, it's me. It's me you want, right? So I think that's the best case. I mean, we're not saying best case is this team's making the playoffs. That's just not realistic. Let's be honest here. I think it's just the development, and maybe at some point, some of these young guys do get called up. Maybe it is Levshinov. Maybe he gets some run. Yeah, I think experience is the name of the game at this point for these younger players. And I mean, even Korchinski, he's not that old at this point. He kind of had, was thrown in the fire last year, and that team was just a train wreck. So you'd want to see strides from him as well. I mean, he's only 24, 25. So
no, Korchinski's draft year 2022, so he's like 20.
Yeah, so I mean,
21.
Like he's probably up the. I think your future is him and Levshinov as your top two guys, right? In a perfect world. So if I'm a Blackhawks fan, I want to see strides from him as well. Like I know Bedard's the guy, but like I don't want just Bedard. I want to see these other pieces show something as well.
Yeah, Betsky, worst case scenario is kind of an interesting term to use with this team, because even if they do finish towards the bottom of the league, they're still going to get another prospect. The one scenario I was thinking of would be a real worst case scenario was if Bedard keeps the injury issues start to arise more and more. I think that's really the worst case scenario for him, where in his first two seasons in the NHL, he doesn't play 82 games in either one of them.
Well, yeah, but so last year, wasn't it like a eye injury or something, or it was like not a foot, knee, ankle,
his head,
shoulder.
he had the bubble on for a while.
Yeah,
it was his jaw. It was jaw.
Yes. So not really like something you're really concerned about reoccurring or whatnot, but I do think that does show that he's got a smaller frame, he's a smaller player, getting pushed around. If he has another injury, whether it's MCL, ACL, God forbid, or another just kind of freakish injury where he gets hit to the boards and some random body part gets injured, it's going to be a bad look. So yeah, obviously Bedard missing more time. Korchinski not really taking a next step in this defensive unit. Levshinov kind of getting pulled up and down and never really getting quality playing time on either team. That would be kind of a dreaded scenario. But would a worst case scenario actually be they outperform everything and play themselves out of a top 10 pick?
They finish right outside the playoffs.
Yeah. And it's not because of the kids. It's because like Bertuzzi plus Bedard and Hall like actually does something, and like Mrazek just has like some crazy Mike Smith type run, and this team, who's like absolutely kind of trash on paper, actually plays better than they should, considering like none of these players outside of Bedard and Korchinski are actually going to be there in 5 more years.
Like 83-point purgatory.
Yes. And you only have 2 core pieces on the team.
Yeah. I mean, Vlasic's a core piece too. They signed him to a 6-year extension, so he's only like 23, 22. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
It's not Mark Edward Vlasic we're talking about.
Yeah, no. But
anywhere from like 81 to like 86 points they finished with.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst nightmare scenario, because it doesn't help with anything.
It doesn't help anything. This isn't a team where there's like 5 young guys on it and you're like, wow, they overperformed. Like, we're going to be so good when we supplement them and they get another year old. This would be like, fuck, what the
Taylor Hall 30-goal season incoming.
Yeah. Taylor Hall is like a Jersey double MVP type season again. And
Bertuzzi's unbelievable. Best offensive season.
Yeah, winning the Art Ross.
He wins the Selkie.
Yeah. But Bedard's injured the whole time. But yeah, realistic worst case is that Bedard gets injured. Korchinski doesn't really take a step. Vlasic is what it is, and you aren't really able to gauge the future.
Yeah. Before we get into some team and player futures, I'd like to talk to you about our sponsor, DraftKings. TD, Tutty, taking it to the house. Whatever you call a touchdown, they matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. The NFL season is back in full swing, and who doesn't love rooting for a touchdown? So be sure to check out the latest odds at DraftKings Sportsbook. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only at DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Now getting into some team and player futures. We're going to start with the team futures. Their regular season points total is listed at 73.5. To make the playoffs, they are 9-1. To miss the playoffs, they are -1,600. Division, conference, Stanley Cup odds on the screen, but those are out the door, feels like. So last year, their regular season points total, I pulled it up, it was 71.5. This season, it's at 73.5. But last year, they finished at, 52 points?
52, yeah.
Wow.
Is anyone going to bite on their regular? Yeah. Okay.
No, because
Perfect. That was quick.
And we'll talk about it with other bad teams, too. The level of bad teams has increased so much compared to the past 3 years. And honestly, the more I look at this roster, it may be the worst again. Flames, Sharks, them, Columbus are probably the bottom 4, right?
At least Columbus has young players that are exciting. This team is like all these veteran rehashes, and
you could argue the Flames have more young players.
Yeah,
none of them are as good as Bedard, but
yeah.
And then Sharks are adding Will Smith, Celebrini. Then they've supplemented them with better vets than I think Chicago has.
I think the main thing I think about with a team that's going to be bad like this is that a lot of these pieces can be traded towards the deadline, right? So we're looking at this team and you're like, oh yeah, they have decent vets. Like the line depth isn't that bad, but you could be talking about a team for the last month of the season that has who God only knows who playing from the AHL on this team, that. Yeah, I mean, you would imagine at least Pat Maroon's traded. I guess they won't trade Foligno at this point. He just got named captain, but yeah, I don't know, man. Especially if Hall pops or something like that, you would imagine he would be on the block.
Gone.
So yeah, this team could look very different in a few months.
Did Teravainen win a cup with Chicago?
If he did, I don't think he really played.
Yeah, he probably was.
Yeah, because there's a picture of him in a Chicago jersey with the cup.
Crazy.
Damn. Against Tampa?
Think so.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Speaking of player props, looking at the Chicago roster, Bedard at 82.5 points, Kurashev at 45.5, Teravainen at 49.5, Bertuzzi at 42.5. They only have 2 markets for goals, or 2 players in the goal market. Bedard at 35.5 and Kurashev at 16.5. The Teravainen one is interesting, and Bertuzzi paired with Bedard. If Bedard's slated to get 82.5, you have to figure his line mates are going to contribute, but you're shaking your head.
No, because I mean, if Teravainen is not playing with Bedard, you don't want that.
Who else is going to play with him on that top line?
I don't know.
I think
Hall,
I think I think
Russia,
I think
like
I think they keep it. I would honestly,
I do too.
if I had to pick, it would be Bertuzzi, because I think he's going to be stable
Yes.
to Bedard because of his physicality. So
Agreed.
42.5 feels all right. I don't know that I really want to be betting Blackhawks props like that when it really
No.
comes down to it. Let's put it that way. Honestly, I kind of want to take under 82.5. That number is just freaking astronomical.
Insane.
We're talking
I'd
about
much rather
player.
take his 40 goals, because if he's getting 82 points, he's getting 40 goals, right?
30, yeah.
Or at least 35, right? Well, his
regular
line's 35.
Yeah, his line's 35.5.
So he's got to get 40 goals if he's getting 82 points. So give me that.
82 point. I mean, we're talking
That's
point per
not a
game.
bad angle. Yeah, it's on the safer side too, because even if he does put up 35, 36 goals and he finishes with, let's say, 30 assists or even 40 assists, still not hitting that 82 mark.
13 points away.
82 is a lot. I mean, that's an impressive mark for any player to reach. And this is his second season. He's still, like we said, undersized. And again, all it takes is one hit, and this guy's missing 10 games. Now you're not hitting that bet. No way in hell.
Yep.
Yeah, the Bertuzzi 42.5 is interesting as well. That is, but
That feels
again, if
really
we think Bedard's going under,
All right.
Bertuzzi's not going to hit the 42.5 either, it seems like.
I'll give you another angle then, right into the awards. Do you think it's worthwhile sprinkling Bedard for Rocket then? I mean, this sounds insane because he would have to have like 60 to 70, but
does goal scoring go down after last year, though? Last year was ridiculous.
I agree.
Are we really going to see that many goals from
69 from Matthews again? Yeah.
I would borderline rather spend $5 on Bedard winning the Rocket than Bedard hitting 82 points, though.
Yes.
That's not a bad angle.
I would almost want to spend $5 on Bedard winning the Rocket than Bedard hitting his goal total. Even though the goal total is much, much, much more likely. If I'm going to just spend $5, I'd rather do it on the thing that can pay me a lot. But
he's the 12th favorite.
I don't think he's going to be able to hit it the second year, but
I don't think in general you want to. I mean, do you really want to be laying any kind of like substantial money on a future associated with this team? I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, you really want to tie up money on this team? Like, no, I'm good, man.
No. Yeah.
I'm assuming we're going to all pass on the trophies as well, unless someone's dabbling in Peter Mrazek to win the Vezina at 150 to 1.
Magic, baby.
I can't believe that they're offering that. That's just like, if anybody takes that, I don't know what you're doing. I just
some dude, some Italian guy from Chicago,
the South Side,
team. South Side Chicago is like a caterer.
Not a Cubs fan.
Fried raviolis you've ever had in your stinking life, and he's gone to every single Blackhawks game since he was born. Is putting money on Mrazek Vezina along with all the awards, just like he does every single year.
Mrazek came to his shop, ordered some cannolis or something one time. He met him, and he's just like, I feel it.
He's the nicest guy.
He's not a Cubs fan. He's a Chicago White Sox fan. Loves the misery of it with the Chicago. Yeah, exactly. All right. Any closing thoughts on this team? It feels like we've kind of covered everything. It's not much, but it is going to be interesting to see how that first line will be interesting. I'll put it that way, to see how they all mesh together moving forward. But any closing thoughts?
Honestly, my closing thoughts. I don't like this team for point props or player props. Really, it was the same last year. Connor Bedard shots, maybe his goal, and if Taro Teravainen sticks up on that top line, those are going to be like the only guys I look at. Even Bertuzzi, as much as he can help Bedard, he could be the guy who digs out the puck in the corner, passes it to Korchinski. Korchinski takes a shot. Teravainen gets the rebound, passes it to Bedard, scores. So even if that play couldn't happen because Bertuzzi wasn't there, he's not going to get a point off of it. So there's 3 player props I like on this team. It'll probably be Korchinski point or power play point. Teravainen only if he's on the top line, and if not, Hall maybe, if Hall decides to play like right wing or something. And then Bedard shots and goal, because his point prop won't be bettable.
You're forgetting about Seth Jones shots. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
man. That was a wagon
Seth
last
Jones
year.
shots at home.
Yes,
at
that was a
home.
wagon last year. That I'll
Yes.
bet. The problem is, first of all, I agree with you 100% on Bertuzzi. Like, I can't tell you how many times I bet on
I
him
lost
for
so
a
much
point.
money on that.
When it's like, oh, he's with Matthews, like he's good.
Yep.
Matthews scores like 3 goals and Bertuzzi has no points. So you're like, where was this guy?
Or he'll get the point and you're like, all right, game 2, he's going to do it again, and then nope.
And nope, never again. But I think the other thing to consider too is like you're gonna get no value on Bedard props, right? Like
Nope.
if they're putting
Maybe
him at
shots
82.5 shots, maybe. But like I'm saying, if his line's at 82.5 for points for the season, guess what? His point prop game to game is gonna be minus 190 or worse.
Yep.
Like there's no way I'm paying that when Sidney Crosby's the same number. Like it's ridiculous.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I can't. Like I don't care how good he is. Like you can't be laying numbers like that, even if it's his assist prop is like plus 105. That's garbage. I'm sorry. That's just garbage.
I won't touch his assist prop. Why would you want to touch his assist prop when you can take his goal for maybe plus money depending on who he plays?
Yeah, but even that, like,
that's going to be the problem. Like, it's not even going to be plus
20.
money most of the time. Yep.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but no. It's just
we're aligned.
Yeah. You can see the telekinesis moving up that way.
This is like
that way. Yeah.
Seth Jones shots, baby. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, it's an unbettable prop or team, and maybe Bedard point or shots if he's at 3.5, depending on the team though. Depending on the team, it's not. I mean, even that, I couldn't believe how inconsistent he was at 3.5, and it was still like a minus 120 line all the time.
Yeah, you're laying too much because of the name, man. It's just
Or if they go back to the 2.5 and it's minus 175. For a streak of 2 weeks, they just sit there and they're like, "Well, you're going to bet it." It's a parlay piece at that point. But he's only cashed 6 of his last 10, and they refuse to move him up or whatnot. It's ridiculous.
And then he takes six shots and only gets 2 on that, and you just rip it up tickets.
And then here's the other thing: you will get FOMO from Bedard because somebody is going to lay his shots one night, and it's going to cash in the first period. And you're going to go, oh, God, why didn't I do that? And then the next game, they're going to play a much tougher team that smothers him. He never gets the puck, and he's not going to hit it. And then they're going to play another tough team. It's going to be brought down to 2.5 where you're not going to want to bet it. And he may hit that. Then you're going to feel comfortable to do it again. And then he's not going to hit the 3.5.
Yeah, he's going to play the Sabres the next game.
He's going to get it in the first power play. And you're going to go, why am I so stupid? Just ignore this team now. Outside of Seth Jones shots.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everyone for listening to this episode of Expected Bets 4. Feels like we've covered the broad range of betting, at least with the Chicago Blackhawks and the Bedard cycle of shots. Be sure to check out all of our social media on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you again to our wonderful sponsors, BetterHelp and DraftKings. Once again, we appreciate everyone for listening to this episode, and we'll talk to you guys soon.